and I did not just completely forget the that was super weird. Sorry.
Yep.
I did not completely forget the intro or anything at all. It's fine. It's all fine.
2 seconds before we started, I was like, Stash, remember, this is your cue.
That was not his fault.
And
The
I was
consent to be
ready.
recorded popped up right as we went live.
It's
Well,
like,
because we're
yeah,
being recorded.
I was like, what's going on? It was a lot happening all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if that's too much for you at one time, I feel bad for all of your partners.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I went there. I'm in a mood.
Fuck you, Bobby.
Apparently.
This water is actually
Vodka?
lemongrass hard seltzer with apple flavor soju.
That sounds
Ooh,
gross.
It's so delicious.
that sounds delicious.
It's so good. Okay,
Well,
so Bobby is here
welcome.
and in a
Bobby's
mood
here,
today.
and she's in a mood.
I'm feeling spicy.
Fox is here, feeling pretty normal, fine as things go.
Oh my.
Should you not be feeling elated, super excited and amazed because you made a cover of a fabulous online magazine?
I was very excited about that. It was a little overshadowed toward the end of my day, finding out that I have to find a new place to live in like a month or two. But you know what? I was so stoked. Queer Circus made the cover of P3 magazine for June with our Pride shoot, and I could not be more proud of us.
Congratulations,
That is
Fox.
fantastic.
That's fucking fantastic.
Tank?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm also in the process of finding a new place to live, so it's been a shitty couple of weeks.
You need a roommate?
Take with Knox Nostalgic Collectibles and 2 small children.
Yes.
You may want to rethink that offer there, Fox.
I was completely kidding because I'm not going to live with 2 small children. You would not want to expose your children to me.
Matt, I can
You know
confirm
what?
that.
I'm actually swinging on the other side. I don't want to expose you to my small children. 'Cause
Hey, I love your small children.
okay, yes, because you get to see them for 2 hours, then go away.
Dude, if I only saw them for 2 hours, like, I don't know what, but I see them for significantly longer than that in the intervals of which I get
Okay,
to
well,
see.
I see them from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So,
Well,
Gross.
you're the one who decided to procreate.
Yep.
well, yep.
Well, Stash here, and I am not moving either. So,
And he also
not
chose
looking
not to
for a house
procreate.
or a roommate, guys.
But Stash is also in the No Kids Club. Yay, team no babies.
Agreed. All
I
of
might
us but Tank.
In the interim, until I find a place, I might end up living with my brother and his 2 children, but they're lovely kids, and that actually sounds kind of nice to me. So, like, team temporary kids?
See, Team Auntie is a fabulous team to be on. Like, I am totally pro Team Auntie. I even have an award that says I am the world's best Mimi.
I want to be a
Like, as an auntie, I kick ass.
drunkle, which is just a drunk uncle.
I have a
And I
couple of
think that
those.
you would do that very well.
Yeah. I was
Hi.
gonna say, is that not already happening?
Do they call you Uncle Fox?
No, my family doesn't know.
Oh, there you go.
I'm pretty sure your family knows.
I mean, my mom, I'm pretty sure my mom knows, but everybody else, no clue.
I think you should tell them to start calling you Uncle Fox. If you want,
Drunkle.
I can have Frank's children start calling you Uncle Fox. I'm sure
Go
they
for
would.
it.
Like Scarlett and Julia would totally call you Uncle Fox if that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
Because my girls, who are technically his children, are fucking awesome.
And they do technically have an Uncle Princess. So,
This is true.
That's adorable.
yes. So it works.
Well,
So
as you can tell, we
we're
are all
really big into
deeply
family
focused.
because it was just Memorial Weekend. And that is why we were not here yesterday. For those of you who are watching us on live stream, for those of you who are watching the recording, you don't care where we were yesterday because you're watching it as it's been recorded. So
We're speaking to you in the future
this is
And the past.
and the past.
so yeah, Memorial we spent with our families, which is why we were not here.
Not
on
me.
Thursday
I was
night.
working.
Okay, except for Stash, who is alone and sad.
Hey, I went to the antique store for 5 hours because it was 20% off.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
fun.
nice.
That's awesome.
It was great. And I found like nothing I wanted except for stuff I couldn't afford to buy.
That's always the best.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that looks cool. Oh shit.
Okay, that actually is a very good segue there, Stash, because speaking of things none of us could afford, Amazon just bought out MGM.
Yay. And a
ridiculously large amount of monies.
that seems to be the trend of the amount of money at this
Oh
point.
my God. Like Bethesda's being the most expensive entertainment purchase lasted 6 months since the deal was finalized.
Well, you got to think about
Listen to
Disney's
this.
buyout of Fox didn't even last that long either.
Yeah.
8.45 billion. That's billion with a B.
Oh, wait,
dollars.
that's it? That means Bethesda is still the most
I
expensive.
think Bethesda still has the most expensive, and that's because
Yeah.
of gaming.
It's 9.4 billion.
Something like that.
It was close.
But it's the most expensive for a movie studio.
Well, that is a movie studio that has been around for what, 100 and almost 150 years.
Let's
I believe is one of the. Is it the oldest studio
check.
in America? It might be.
I think it might be, but I'm not certain.
But either way, they have a lot of stuff to buy. And apparently, since Amazon is very, very determined to take over the entire world.
Yeah, so MGM Studio is one of the world's oldest film studios and was founded in 1924.
So
Okay,
it's like
there you go.
100 years
100
old.
years.
I thought it came out in the early 1900s, but still early.
1924.
That's yeah. But yes, they were bought out, and that got them a lot of stuff.
That got them an obscene amount of things.
What I don't get, and like seriously, this may just be the fact that we all watch so many movies to do reviews and stuff for this channel. Is a lot of the headlines that I've seen is like Amazon buys out MGM, owner of James Bond. Yeah, MGM owns a lot more than just Bond.
They do, but that is one of their biggest currently running IPs.
I get it. But MGM is like MGM.
Okay. Yes.
It's
Yes.
huge.
That's
It's
their
huge.
name.
It has so
huge.
much. The
has-
subsidiaries are United Artists, Epics, MGM Televisions. I mean, all of this. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not with this purchase, they have anything to do with any of the other MGM properties.
I've been trying to figure that out also. I cannot tell, which is unfortunate, because that would include theme parks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So based on what I
mean,
have
usually,
seen,
usually those are under a subsidiary company.
Yeah,
And if they're under a
subsidiary companies are included.
Yeah, if they're under a subsidiary company, then they are included, and therefore they will be owned by Amazon now, which is.
but here's where we run into the issue because of what happened with the Fox buyout. It did not include everything. It included their movie studio and their TV studio. They still have existing contracts with Universal Studios that Disney cannot do anything to. and they kept their entire news department. So I don't know what parts of MGM are being sold. Is it just the movie studio,
No, it's not. It includes CNBC,
which is part of their news studio? Okay.
right? Let's see. It includes their TV shows like Handmaid's Tale, Survivor, and Shark Tank. Trying to
Ooh,
So
see.
they're
Shark
TV
Tank.
studios, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to I'm looking through all of this stuff because there's so many different things that it has listed out, but a lot of it is redundant.
But
I
that,
mean, essentially, they branched into every field of entertainment that they could have wanted in one foul swoop on top of everything they already have, which is very interesting because I don't know if Amazon needed to do this or if this is a response to Amazon Game Studios maybe not taking off. So they're trying to pursue a different direction.
Yeah,
think-
that was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, it really was. And they lost obscene quantities of money trying to build these studios. And they
they
just,
really fucked over developers too.
oh yeah.
yeah. And it's like, what's happened from that? Absolutely nothing. So I'm wondering if maybe they're like, maybe video games aren't the right direction for us. Maybe we should go harder into the entertainment. And the best way to do that is a big purchase like this because you have all the existing architecture.
Well, and that's why I'm wondering. I think this was a thing they were trying to do anyway, because I know they've been trying to buy Sony, and they were mentioned at one point in the Fox stuff. They were mentioned at one point in the NBC Universal stuff. So
Yeah.
they
So,
probably were trying to find a studio to buy, I'm assuming. And
Yeah.
they landed on MGM at this point.
So, I mean, the big reason that everything is saying is like Amazon Prime, especially, is trying to stay relevant against Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max, et cetera, et cetera. And with this, they're getting more than 4,000 titles actively.
Yeah.
Not to mention all of the things that currently have contracts or agreements with those other streaming services that they'll get back when those contracts are over.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It is a hell of a dick drop into that game. Like it is a power play.
Oh,
And
big
the
time.
kind only companies of that size can do. It's just I'm really curious if maybe they're gonna branch, like remove all their Prime stuff from in-house and move it over to MGM and then build up MGM separately and then
according
just
to
kind of
everything that
fold it.
everything that they're showing, they're not.
No, they're folding it into Amazon's existing
Mhm.
structure.
That just doesn't seem like a smart way of doing things.
Well,
But
it increased their market cap by $600 million or $1 billion. Sorry.
okay.
So
I
they're
was
at
like,
one,
that's not
their
very
market cap is now 1.7 trillion.
Yeah, the consolidation of media into a few companies is definitely concerning.
Oh yeah.
Well, and here's
But,
the
I
thing,
mean,
it actually there's been a couple of articles that have actually addressed you know, how this is happening and whether or not Amazon is technically a monopoly now.
yeah,
And-
I'd
And
say
there's
they've been a
the-
monopoly for a while, but
yeah. Have we heard, is this deal officially confirmed and certified by the boards?
no.
Okay, so there is still a chance that it can be broken up because it is considered a monopoly.
Technically, it still has to pass through all the acquisition stuff. It has
Yes,
not been
so-
approved official yet. As of now, it's similar to what happened with with Fox and with all of them. It's going to take a while for this to actually circulate through everything and be finalized, if it is going to be.
Because this is a big play, and I'm worried that the industry can't survive too many of these in its current state. But on the other side, we also have like the growth of smaller programming like YouTube programming and stuff like that
Hmm.
from individuals that can pick up a lot of this slack and in many ways are superior because they don't have all this red tape and bullshit to go through. But I don't know. This is really going to shake up the future of the industry and the quality of MGM films, perhaps, and cinema in
I don't
general.
think that I personally am not worried about the quality of MGM films because I feel like Amazon has consistently shown us that they're willing to put forth the energy, the effort, and the funding to have quality product.
Yeah.
They are.
I mean, honestly, if Netflix was acquiring MGM, I would be more afraid.
Well, and apparently it was this is following an attempt by both Apple and Sony to buy MGM. Apparently, they were approached by both of them in the last like year and a half to buy them out.
Well, Amazon can outbid any other company in the
And
world.
that's basically exactly what happened because I think MGM's value was at like $6.5 billion or something like that.
Mhm.
So Amazon basically said, "Okay, we'll pay that plus $2 billion more."
Yeah.
So
And Sony won't do that. Not with
No.
a new game console just underway.
and they've had enough issues in the recent past to kind of shy away from bankrolling that big of a purchase at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Apple didn't jump on it because what a way to boost and maintain Apple TV.
That's kind of the same thought process I had. I'm actually not sure why Apple didn't jump on it. This seems like it would have been huge for Apple.
It would have worked well for them, I would think. But I don't know, maybe Apple TV just isn't seeing the success they want, so they may be trying to phase it out.
Probably not. But they probably won't be investing as much. Because they are there's still a lot of stuff coming out. It's not nearly as much as any other producer of content at this point, but they are starting to see like season 2 of a bunch of stuff and starting new IP at this point. There actually is quite a bit coming from Apple in the near future.
We'll wait and see. I mean, right now, I think the biggest problem that we're seeing with anything Apple TV wise is the fact that it's so exclusive.
Yep, they have no market stability. The only thing they have is whoever already buys Apple.
And I know like my entire household is Android.
Same here.
And I took the free subscription for Apple, and that was it.
Mom and dad did the same thing. They did the free subscription for Apple, and then once his free subscription was over, they didn't renew.
Well, Dad has an Apple TV though, his Apple TV thing. So I don't know.
I didn't realize that the new TV was an Apple TV. I know the old.
No. The little box. Is
the
called
little
Apple
box.
TV.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the TV is like a Sony or something like that.
I was like, I didn't think that was a thing, but okay.
No, the little box thing that they call it Apple TV.
That's interesting. I'm really surprised that they didn't jump on this. But I mean, like I said, it's a huge purchase. Amazon can outbid most anyone. So who knows? There could have been a bidding war, and then someone was like, hey, let's talk to the biggest company in the world. And they just swoop in and take everything.
Yeah, at
Which
this
is
point,
very possible.
At this, the issue that they could run into a monopoly issue, but honestly,
if they do, they'll just buy it and put it under an umbrella company.
Exactly. They'll figure out a way to do that. Amazon has a lot of existing contracts, and their streaming service, weirdly enough, is one of their smallest revenue generators.
Which is really why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Because they have like government contracts and shit like that generate the majority of their revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's scary to see, though.
Well, while Amazon is busy picking up CNBC, Paramount Plus is doing something we didn't think was possible anymore, and they're reviving an old show that we all thought was dead, to the point where I think most of us didn't even finish watching the first season that's available on Netflix, and that is Paramount Plus is bringing back the show Evil.
Well, a lot of this is connected to the original season of it was kind of outside of CBS's normal, landscape. So it just didn't get renewed. It was in 2019 and it just fell out of favor with their audience apparently, which it's the CBS audience, so it's kind of odd that a psychologically driven, murder thriller doesn't fit that, given most of their programming.
I've enjoyed watching it, and since it's available, since season 1 is available on Netflix, I've actually been rewatching season 1 because I'd only ever watched one episode of the show prior.
And it's not like most of the time. Like most of the time when you hear they're reviving it, they're reviving something from 20 or 30 years ago. This is something that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and
that's
had a cult following. So apparently they're taking that risk with their new Paramount service.
Where was this when Firefly got canceled? Just kidding.
But yeah, apparently it's worth the risk to them. I mean, I'm assuming the operating cost for that cannot be huge. It's not driven by, action sequences and shit like that. So I'm assuming that's not a huge investment for them to shoot a new season.
And there's plenty of serial killer fodder out there, so it's not going to be difficult for them to draw some material.
Yeah,
exactly. And God knows you can throw a rock and find a serial killer podcast.
Or TV show, or
documentary, or reimagining.
It should be really easy for them to find the experts they need. It makes sense. It's a good quality investment, and that industry is so popular with a specific series of demographics that, like, I know many people who that's what they watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they watch.
Fairness, that's what I fall asleep to.
Yeah, it's like
Criminal Minds, NCIS.
Yeah, it's like, it's interesting that people are so obsessive about that, but it's a good way to get into that field, is to revitalize something that already has
a good
small group. Yeah.
Well, and apparently, and kind of in the same vein, they're doing new versions of the same story over and over again when it comes to serial killers. So there's, they can play with this as much as they want. I mean, I think I heard that they're doing another Ted Bundy movie, which would make it like 4 in the last 2 years. So
yeah, that sounds right.
We'll keep watching it. I just never got super into it, but it's a strong industry, and if you're looking to draw some interest into a streaming service, I think this is one of the pillars you can do. I think you can do that, and I think another good one would be a foray into anime.
And it's not an expensive one either with this.
Yeah.
Like this is a, for one of the cheapest things you can do these days is this kind of serial killer story. So
well, I'm curious to see how it goes. Who knows how it'll end up?
We shall see.
Yep.
But hey, more murder shows for me to sleep to. Yeah. The running joke I have with my mom is if I fall asleep to something like Criminal Minds or whatnot, if I wake up, I don't have to worry about missing anything because it's the same storyline for every episode. Just sometimes the characters change.
Yep.
So, all right. One of the things that we have going on right now, speaking of character changing, is Cobra Kai is coming out with season 4.
Which the teaser, I feel so weird talking about a teaser that was this short, but like, it was a pretty good fucking teaser, man.
Well, yeah, and it brings, essentially another huge storyline to play with.
Yeah, which I honestly didn't think they would go into Karate Kid 3?
Yep.
4?
3.
It's weird because they had the next Karate Kid in there too.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. It I'm really excited to see how it goes, and that is honestly not who I thought oh my god, how can I not think of his name? The guy who took over the dojo at the end of the third season.
What?
The general guy. What the fuck is his name?
Oh, you're talking about
Kreese.
Kreese.
Got it. Yeah, like
I mean,
he
that's
made
kind
that
of what.
call, and that is not who I thought he would be calling.
Well, that's kind of what he did in the third movie, though.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
reached
he
out
did
to
reach
Terry Silver. Yeah.
It's like I didn't expect to see something like that though. Like I have never seen a show that lays so heavily into nostalgia. It is so interesting to see because the arcs are literally the same arcs.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. Have you seen Stranger Things? The whole
I
deal
was
with
just
that show
thinking
is
the
that
exact same
I
thing,
honestly
Fox.
think Cobra Kai is worse than Stranger Things and pandering to nostalgia because the story arcs are unique and interesting in Stranger Things.
I will
Yeah.
say this. I agree with you that Stranger Things relies heavily on nostalgia, but it's a general nostalgia for a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Cobra Kai leans into its progenitors 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It is they're building the same story with different characters, but they're the same characters. So
Yeah.
and we're getting the final turn of Johnny Lawrence, apparently, of becoming a good guy.
Which makes sense, and we'll see how it goes. I'm really curious to see how they develop him and god damn it. Why am I so bad with names?
Ralph Macchio?
No.
Or are you talking about his character?
His protege.
Oh yes. His buddy.
Yes.
What the hell is his name? I forgot his name too. It's been so long since I've actually watched. I watched it when it first came out, and I haven't watched it
Yeah,
since.
me too. I watched it when it first came out twice, and then I haven't watched it since.
Miguel.
Miguel, yes, there we go. I'm really curious to see how they develop that arc because I wonder if they're going to lay more into the father figure role for him or less.
Well, they're going to have to lean into it a little bit more because you have his son Robbie on, joining with the other side. So,
Which surprises no one.
mm-hmm.
It's like props to that actor, man, because he is a very dislikable kid. Hi, River.
He is. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
You feel bad for him for a minute, and then he does some shitty thing, and then you're like, "Oh, okay, you are a prick." Gotcha.
I always think it's really awesome when they find an actor who can actually play such an unlikable person.
It is very difficult to be that disliked. And
especially when it's somebody who's in such a successful show. Because then, like, God, what's the actor who played Joffrey?
I don't know. That's exactly who I was thinking about, though.
Right? Like, when he would walk around after Game of Thrones was done filming, or his character was done filming, people would, like, they hated him. Like, people would throw shit at him.
Which, I mean, that's...
Like, he ended up doing a lot of community service work and a lot of outreach and stuff like that. Which, I mean, he did before he did Game of Thrones, but he was much, much, much more public about it afterwards because of all of the negative attention that he was getting. But, oh my God, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but like in many ways, that's just the greatest compliment an actor can have.
And that's exactly what he said. So it's
Yeah.
one of those things like when you can truly hate a character, that's a real compliment to the actor.
Mhm.
Well,
But there are some people who can't separate the two, which is unfortunate.
it's,
Compliments to the chef.
yeah, and well, it's kind of funny because all it does is remind me of like old school wrestling, where when people thought it was a real the pro wrestling thing, where they would try and shoot people, they would try and kill like the bad guys, the heels. They were their lives were threatened constantly. So if you can push that kind of narrative, that speaks a lot to your skill. That you can get people to actively hate you.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that makes you love a protagonist more than a good antagonist.
Oh yeah,
And it's
villains
like,
make the best stories.
yep, they very much do. It's like you can have a very flat hero, but if your villain is fucking nasty and brutal and horrible and terrible, I don't care how bad and boring the hero is, you still want him to win.
Yeah, look at the entire history of Superman.
That's true. That's very true.
I was thinking fairy tales in general, where like typically the prince who, comes in and saves the day and blah, blah, blah.
He's the most nonsensical, boring ass character in the entire story.
And 9 times
Or
out of
just
10, he
walks
doesn't
up
even
and
have a
kisses
name.
an unconscious body in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Well,
they're
like,
also kind of creepy. So
half the time the prince doesn't even have a name.
no, it's just Prince Charming.
Or he's just the handsome prince.
Yeah.
But then you have like a character like Maleficent who can change into a dragon and is the dark fairy and like, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. But it looks cool. And the fact that they're bringing Terry Silver into this makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
But where are they going to go after this?
Well, we
guess
have
we're
to
gonna have
wait
to
and watch
see
season
Hillary
4 and then go from there.
Be Hillary Swank in season 5, I guess.
That's the only thing I can think of. And I'm like, she's not very interesting character to bring in.
Well, would you
But
prefer that or have
Really?
Jaden come back from the revamp?
Let's have Jackie Chan come in and train Hillary Swank.
Oh.
ugh.
Okay, I appreciate Jackie Chan, so I'd be kind of okay with that. But let's just leave that alone. Maybe they tap out after season 4.
No, they're not though.
I know there is a season 5, but good lord.
Okay, well, while we're talking nostalgia, let's go ahead and bounce over to the fact that apparently there's a little duel happening in nostalgia land, and that is Henry Cavill and Chris Hemsworth both want to play He-Man in the new live action movie that's coming out.
Well, coming out's a big...
Okay, new live action movie that's being casted or discussed.
I don't know if I could see either of them as He-Man.
What? This, you kind of fell into the same category as me. I actually would prefer them utilize the one that they're using as the voice actor currently for Kevin Smith's new animated version of the, Masters of the Universe, and use Chris Wood, who is not a small man by any means. But why can't they just use him as the character here?
So, first off, I have no idea. Second, some of you may know that I have a She-Ra sword tattooed on my back, as well as another hanging up in my bedroom.
Oh, they took it off the
Yeah, they took it off the armor wall, which is very sad, but well, technically they didn't take it off the wall. It fell onto Kelted Patrick's head.
Well, thank God it was your sword and not one of the other ones.
Well, my sword wasn't actually hanging on anything. It was balancing on top of the shield.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when he scooted his chair back and it bumped the shield, the sword fell and beamed him in the head. But he was fine.
I was gonna say that's a preference to that like 5-foot broadsword that could have fallen on his head.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
true.
No, wait.
So She-Ra and He-Man hold a very dear place in my heart.
No, wait.
You know, She-Ra being better than He-Man, but still.
Yeah, well,
True.
So I have a cousin who is 1 month younger than I am, and we like to refer to ourselves as, we're twin cousins. We were delivered by the same doctor, blah, blah, whatever. And so when I saw this article and heard about this rumor about this fight, I reached out to him and I was like, dude, what the hell? Who would you vote for? And so we had this really long and in-depth discussion about who we would both choose to play He-Man or versus these two actors. And then we had a discussion about neither of them should be He-Man, but maybe Henry Cavill would play a really good Skeletor.
yeah.
I don't know about that.
I don't think he's got the voice for that.
No,
He doesn't.
but he does have the right body type for it.
I don't know if he's flamboyant and creepy enough to be
Yeah,
Skeletor.
you need someone who's a little bit crazy for that usually.
Yeah, but think about the creep factor that he gets in The Witcher.
That's a different type. That's intense.
That's a different kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's not creepy. That's intense.
All right, and then maybe putting Hemsworth as Man-at-Arms instead of He-Man.
That I would be so insulted if I were him. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like, you're gonna cast me as Man-at-Arms? Fuck you.
It is funny though. It's a
But
funny
come on!
Um,
Okay, what about this one? Chris Pratt as Skeletor.
Again, I want someone like very flamboyant.
yeah. Like,
Oh,
you
who
need
was it who played the crazy gay man on Lost Girl, the Succubus show? Him.
Are you
That's who
talking
I
about
want
the
to play.
werewolf guy?
No, not Dyson.
That's
one
the
who
only
can
guy I
control
know.
people.
I
Okay.
watched, so
Okay, hold on. I'm going to find out his name, and then you guys are all going to agree with me.
I'm sure I will have
Yeah.
no idea who you're talking about. I don't know. Have we found out if this is going to be? Is it going to break the rule of He-Man being unable to like punch things or like use a weapon? Is he actually going to be able to fight stuff? Because like he couldn't punch people in the source material. Like, it was in his contract that it was considered too violent for him to hit things, which is why he picked people up and threw them all the time.
Well, I guess we'll
That's
find
very
out
funny.
how far they're willing to go because that Masters of the Universe Revelation is coming out pretty soon. So
Yeah, because I don't necessarily need like a grimdark version of He-Man,
mhm.
No.
but I would definitely like something quite a bit darker than what we got in the TV series, because
Well, and
that
apparently the new animated series is supposed to tap into that a little bit because it's supposed to be more driven by the adult aspect of things.
All right, so I was thinking Paul Amos, who played Vex in the TV show Lost Girl.
I have no idea who that is.
I don't either.
All right, so which means you guys just all agree with me.
Sorry.
Good job, Bobby.
Well, you guys are all cretins who apparently don't watch enough Canadian television.
I don't watch much Canadian television at all, so no. How about like
Hey, I
Willem
saw
Dafoe
Degrassi.
as Skeletor? That's what I'm thinking.
Who is Skeletor?
Willem Dafoe.
Yes, I could see that.
I could do that.
That'd be a cool Skeletor.
That
He's
would
over
be
the
an
top.
unhinged Skeletor.
Yeah. He'd be the Skeletor when everything goes completely sideways and he decides to just nuke everything.
The best Skeletor.
Willem Dafoe makes a good villain. He really does.
It's funny, this whole
He
thing
really does.
actually was brought to my attention by my cousin, because we were talking about all of the nostalgia with the 52 or with the He-Man memes and whatnot. And I have a 50 Shades of Grayskull meme.
Ah.
which
I guess if we're
makes me
given
giggle.
just those two options, I'm going with Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Just because he has that more action figure build, and you know that he can kind of be humorous.
If I was going to have to cast both of them in that universe, I would put Hemsworth as He-Man and I would put Cavill as Bo on Eternia.
How about Merman?
No. No, because Bo thinks very highly of himself.
I know, but it'd be funnier if it was Merman.
This is
It
true.
really would.
Actually,
Oh,
fuck that.
You know what? How about he play Cowl?
That'd work.
And then you have to try to find him in every episode.
I think he'd be a little bit pissed by that, but it'd be funny.
It would.
All right. So now that we have pissed off a couple of the, of my opinion, hottest men in Hollywood, let's get over to one of the most irritating men in Hollywood, and that is Robert Pattinson.
Listen, we will
I mean-
not.
Why?
No.
I take that shot, Bobby. Why?
Because he irks me.
He is also a very pretty man, let's be fair.
Get over the Twilight
He has
movies.
irked me since he was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. He irked me before Twilight, okay?
He's
Before
in one of my
the body
favorite-
glitter, he irked me.
He was in one of my favorite movies that no one's ever heard of.
Everybody's
And
heard of
he fucking
Sharknado.
acted his little ass off in that movie too.
What movie is it?
Everybody's heard of Sharknado, Josh.
No, it's called Cosmopolis.
Oh,
Funny.
yeah. I think
That's
he's
from
a
a
good
long time ago
actor.
at this point. Or it seems like a long time ago, but I guess it's only like, what, 10 years ago? Cosmopolis? Something like that.
Yeah, about that.
He was
That
just a
movie is
little baby in Harry Potter.
He
That's
was.
true, he was. This was him at like Cosmopolis was him at like 18.
Wasn't that
I-
like right after the Twilight bullshit ended?
I don't know. I think it was somewhere in the middle,
Mm.
but I stopped paying attention to Twilight because like I had to see the first movie and I was like, never again.
You know,
Okay, so
I saw the first two movies. I read all of the books.
I'm going to. I've never read the
Ah,
books.
Thank you, Morgana. Robert Pattinson is not a pretty man. Oh, she's on my side.
Well, he's pretty in a
Check
weird
it.
way, I guess. But either way,
Morgana, have I mentioned that you're my favorite and that George the librarian is no longer sexy?
I've never read any of the books, but I read the description for the first movie, and then actually watched it because it was listed as an action adventure story with vampires and werewolves. I'm like, oh, cool.
We
never-
don't need to bring up Twilight every time we talk about Robert Pattinson.
Here's
Yes,
the-
you.
and I'm not going to actually shit on him at all. But whoever wrote the description for that movie needs to be paid a lot of money because he drew extra viewers based on the description of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that
was
correct
great.
me if I'm wrong, Tank, but you paid money to then watch that movie.
No. It was on like
Pay-per-view or
FX or something like that. No, it was after, it was like 4 years after it came out. So it was on free TV at that
okay.
because I never read any of the books. I had no connecting knowledge to the books.
Oh, I didn't read the books
Cool.
either, but I saw them.
And I watched it, and there is grand total of one fight scene and then one chase scene in that entire movie. And I'm like, that is not action adventure. And
Not
watched
at
it
all.
all the way through. And I have a hatred towards that without reading any of it because of that. So
I didn't read it and I hate it. So- Do you remember? Did you ever meet Bear Pie? Bobby?
I did not.
I thought you may have.
If it's something I
it's-
should, then tell me and I'll put it on my list.
No, Bear Pie is the name of one of my partners, and she, like,
I thought you said, did I ever
blackmailed
read it?
me.
I was like, no, I have not read that. Is that something?
No, she
I ever-
blackmailed me with her sex magic and made me go see that movie. And that movie, not worth it. Even with the rewards I was given, not worth it. That movie is terrible. But let's go back to the actual premise of this story.
Yes, the discussion is Robert Pattinson is going to be unveiling a new Dark Knight into the DCEU.
And he is confirmed for multiple films.
Yes, and that's the big deal here is he's made a major deal with Warner Brothers for multiple films. Now, we only have had two other Batmans who have done multiple films.
Mhm.
You
Well,
know, we
We're not
have
including
Christian
the
Bale.
animated ones, right?
What?
Not including the animated stuff, I'm assuming.
Not including the animated. I'm talking strictly live action.
Okay.
We have Christian Bale, who did The Dark Knight, who, in my opinion, did an amazing job at giving us a different look at Batman.
Minus the weird growly voice at times, he did a fantastic job.
You know, and then you have Michael Keaton, you know, who was
made a
the
good Bruce.
Batman we kind of grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have Adam West, but that was TV Batman. And then Val Kilmer played Batman twice, and we just don't discuss George Clooney ever.
Wait, what was Val Kilmer's other Batman?
Yeah, it's like he played one.
He only did once.
You're right. He only did once. It was Robin who was in it twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alfred stayed consistent up until the actor died.
Yeah.
Oh, and Morgana says George is still sexy and gives amazing gifts. So George the librarian stays sexy.
For half a second, I thought she was talking about George Clooney, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I was too, and I was so confused.
Like, when did you meet George Clooney?
I was like, "What does that say about me?"
Well, she said he gives amazing gifts, and I was like, that time he shit in Richard Kind's cat box.
Okay, so let's actually.
Anyways, Robert Pattinson will be Batman lots of times.
Okay,
It's 3.
so the
confirmed,
thing of
right?
it is Pattinson can actually really act. Like, he is a talented actor from time to time. He's very infrequent. He is the biggest fucking prima donna I have ever heard of on like a actual behind the scenes acting. But he is
30
a very
Seconds to Mars
capable
guy.
actor. I'm sorry?
What's his fucking name? 30 Seconds to Mars guy who played the Joker. It's hard to top that.
Yeah,
What's his fucking name?
I don't know. You would
I
know that
remember.
far better than I. But like if he's an excellent actor and they're looking to create another arc with a single Batman that evolves through the course of his stint as the Batman,
Mhm.
I mean, I understand why they're casting someone at that age with that type of acting talent,
Right.
even if he is incredibly high maintenance and a bit of a drama king.
Well, and they do
And a tool.
seemingly be. They are
Jared Leto.
Jared
Fox.
Leto.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Morgana says Jared Leto, and you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
They seem. I'm still not 100% sure on when this story is taking place, but based on their descriptions of it, it seems like it's early. So
Yeah,
we're
it looks like beginning of Batman's career as the Batman.
year 1 Batman of some kind, because they're saying that the Riddler and that Penguin and Catwoman are just becoming notarized, known villains.
Yeah, so the Riddler is the chief antagonist, and that's going to be Paul Dano.
Which I honestly at this point can't wait for. He looks like he's
Yeah,
gonna be a
honestly, I think
super
that's really good
creepy
casting.
character. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I can see him at that time period, but I'm also curious how they're going to develop an arc over that single period. If maybe he's going to start out a bit more gritty and perhaps more willing to kill, or vice versa.
I'm
It's
actually
like-
wondering that same thing because of how early they seem to be going with this story. It seemingly, yeah, he's going to kill one of the bad guys at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully
So,
not the Riddler.
hopefully not the Riddler. It could be. I mean, although I don't see them killing off any of the major villains.
Yeah.
Hopefully
think-
it's Mr. Freeze.
Now here's the thing that you guys need to understand
Hey,
about
he was
this
cool
deal that
in
Robert
the
Pattinson
animated
signed.
series.
You guys, I don't know if you saw this, but the deal that Robert Pattinson signed includes includes HBO Max
Yep.
in that, and that includes a Gotham-centric TV series.
Which has been in discussion for a long time and was supposed to be the original premise of the Gotham TV show
Right,
that we got.
but they're planning on putting him in that show.
Okay, but are they planning on doing it the same way that Disney planned on putting their characters into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't know.
So we get like a couple of, small,
Even if it's just snippets,
maybe.
I
that's
mean,
what they're saying.
that's an interesting choice. I don't know what they would do with like a spin-off TV series though.
Well,
Well,
I
it's
don't know if
supposed-
it's going to be a spin-off or if it's going to be a filler similar to the way Marvel is doing right now.
Well, and that show specifically is supposed to be focused on the Gotham PD and things outside of Batman that occur in Gotham, essentially.
Okay. I mean, I'm interested in seeing that. I mean, there's enough psychopaths in Gotham that they could keep it interesting, even if it is only the smaller villains that maybe they're capable of dealing with. But
Well, and it really makes me wonder though, because they're kind of already did that with Gotham.
that's what I was
Basically,
thinking.
that entire storyline, yes, it was about a young Bruce Wayne eventually becoming Batman, but a lot of it was focused on James Gordon
Mhm.
going from a street cop to the commissioner.
Mhm.
So
I think
And
it could be really interesting seeing it from the Gotham PD perspective, ACAB, but because they're often going to be at odds with Batman because he is a vigilante.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he stays a vigilante, but at first they're at odds with him, and then they're like, hey, you can do our work for us.
Well, I mean, are they though? Because I think it's just the commissioner kind of pushes everything away from Batman, but I still don't feel like Gotham PD likes Batman.
No, he's treated as a criminal quite often by the general police
Yeah,
force.
it's like, so yes, he has like his inside man that he uses to direct the attention away from him, but I still think they don't like him. And it'd be really interesting to see if maybe we had a couple of cops try and kill the Batman because they felt he was, a true danger to the functional nature of their city. It's like that would be an interesting angle. There's any number of interesting things, but I hope they don't focus it too much on the Batman if they're trying to make a 3-movie series.
Well, and it also does kind of call into question the trailer, because when they're going to that crime scene for this new Batman movie, he's surrounded by police
Mhm.
when he walks in there. So is that like, is the Gotham show going to be the after effects of what happens during this first movie? So maybe like at first they're kind of like, oh, okay, this weird motherfucker wants to be, a vigilante, and there's kind of a tenuous thing that goes on, and then maybe, yeah, he kills somebody. So after that, that relationship becomes strained. And
Mm.
while they're dealing with their normal crime in Gotham, which is overwhelming, to add in the fact that they now have a vigilante and supervillains.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
mean, it has potential. It all comes down to how they integrate everything together.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, how can they do it effectively?
Well, and who knows? The TV show may never happen. There's many times that TV shows are in the in thought, but never actually hit production.
Yeah, but this is Batman.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I was like,
This is true,
yeah,
but
it's Batman.
Tank, you even said that this has been in discussion for years.
Well, yeah, because it was supposed to be, and it is technically based on like a comic book also from Gotham City Central was a comic book at one point in like the mid 2000s. So there is some history here. So maybe they're going to kind of tap into that and deal with that, the other stuff of Gotham, how the daily cop interacts, not the Batman story, but how a daily cop interacts with the idea of like the Mad Hatter or Deathstroke, or,
I hope so. I hope
one
we
of
get a little
these.
bit more information.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what it's going to be based on. That was a fairly short series. I think it only ended up being like 40 or 50 books. It lasted for a couple years. So maybe.
It's
Well,
enough for a couple of seasons.
I
Yeah.
suppose we just wait and see.
Yeah,
Yep.
at this point, that's all it is. We don't know what's happening. We don't know if it's a real thing. It's Batman, so it's probably going to be a real thing because Batman is basically half of DC's, line of comics at this point. So
This is
Just give me the Batman Beyond I want.
if you want Batman Beyond, the best thing you can read right now is the next Batman, which is an active series.
which reminds me, Stash, I have your next Ronin.
Yep.
Yay.
So if we do get to see the lovely and sexy Morgana tomorrow night for class, I can give it to her and she can bring it to you.
That would be appreciated. Oh, that's not going to happen because Morgana's doing dinner with me and my family tomorrow.
Well, fine then.
I'm sorry.
I guess I'll just have to make a point to come and see you guys at some point.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the next TV series that is definitely happening. We just don't know when. And that is the Wheel of Time series.
We know when. It's slated to drop at the end of the year, but
Okay,
COVID
we don't know
made everything.
when. We have
Yeah.
a generalized idea.
Yeah.
Filming for season 1 has just finished. The series has already been renewed for a second season ahead of the series premiere. We do
Yep.
not know when
Season
the
2 is begun
scheduled for.
adaptations.
I'm sorry.
What?
Season 2 has begun adapting the books into a complete series and a complete season, I should say. And it's really interesting that this is happening in the way it's happening because Amazon is trying so hard to make their Lord of the Rings series just wildly and completely successful that it's very strange they're branching out and doing another very similar IP. Granted, both have insane fan base, rabid fan bases who have been waiting for years. Like, we've been waiting for years for a Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, a
Wheel
Wheel
of
of
Time.
adaptation. And it's finally happening. Like, we have full casting that's been released. Season 1 is finished shooting. I mean, special effects are going to be the Paramount on any major fantasy series, so there's probably a few months ahead of them. But it is going to be, there's only a few fantasy series that can rival the Wheel of Time in terms of popularity, and
Very true.
only like one or two who can even come close on word count.
Yeah.
Um,
Robert Jordan, first off, is an incredible author, right? So, like, you need to say that to begin. And this is a 14-book series.
15 if you count the prequel.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Smarty Pants.
The only reason I know that is because there's one other series that can rival it for length, and it's only 14 books, and the prequel puts the word count above that one.
What is that other series?
That's funny.
Malazan, Book of the Fallen.
Oh, okay. So the first book of this series came out in 1984.
Yes, and it has.
He began writing it in 84. It was published in 1990.
There we go. I was gonna say
Okay.
that seemed early,
That's an
but
interesting delay.
the first book is the worst book in the entire series from a writing standpoint, and it's very, very tropey. Like it, he
took him
wrote the
6 years to
initial.
write it.
Yeah, he wrote the initial book to be a retelling of Lord of the Rings. And
What the heck?
as he developed his book, he purposely like wanted to show the tropes at a more realistic and human level, as opposed to, you know, a bunch of hobbits who are just like, sure, we'll fucking go into Mordor, we'll walk into Mordor. He wanted to show something more realistic. And to do that, he needed to, at first, you know, play to the tropes of the time. And I'm really curious what they're going to do, if they're going to focus more on this differing angle from Lord of the Rings, or if they're going to play up the Lord of the Rings angle. Because they could go either direction, and I'm really curious to see how things go. But I mean, it's already done. It's in the can. It's just, I don't know how they're going to place something like this with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I'm very, very interested to see how it's going to happen.
I mean, I'm excited to see it. The casting is very strange. It's all very youthful, which much of the first book features a predominantly youthful cast.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. But we will see how it evolves. I mean, I don't know how far they're going to push this, because there's no way they're adapting all 15 books.
Why not?
I mean, it's too much, and there's too much filler. It's like, if they adapted all 15, they would probably cut it down to like maybe 7 seasons at the peak.
Mhm.
I can see it going up to 9, but no more than that. I think 7 would be a better place for it.
Could that make it better though?
I'm sorry?
Could that make the story more linear though?
I think it would. Because the thing is, like, Robert Jordan focused on making a very detailed world. And you don't need to describe all of that the way you do in books. You can show it with the cinematography. So I really think they could cut down and make a more streamlined and better version. I think 5 seasons would be too short. 7 seasons would be good. Any more than that, and I think you start getting lost in like this massive world with the 100+ characters that he wrote. It's like, it's impossible to like adapt the entire series. It just can't be done.
I understand. This isn't like a Lemony Snicket's where it was very easy to take the books and turn one book into a 2-part miniseries. And then as soon as all of the books were done, the show was over.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Lemony Snicket's is my example of the best book to screen adaptation.
I mean, I'll disagree with that, but
I can see where it's coming from.
definitely up there.
It's one of
What?
the most direct
Yeah.
translations. Yeah.
Okay, the most current and accurate book to screen adaptations.
I would agree. Yeah.
I'd still disagree, but it's a very good version.
Anyway,
It's just personal taste. Cosmopolis is like the best adaptation ever, but no one ever reads the book or much less watches the movie. So, no,
okay.
don't worry about it.
Point is, with
Yes.
that, with Lemony Snicket's, it was very easy to go, this is where the book starts, this is where the book ends. You can follow along. You could even read the book while watching the show and know what was happening,
hmm
Okay.
right? And I
Yes.
don't think that's going to be possible with this.
It is not, and I am.
And I think that that's something that's really not possible with any sort of adult books.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is an adult novel. I'm saying with anything that's written for, not YA.
Yeah. It's like it is definitely the complexity that it contains is going to make an adaptation far more difficult than it would be for a YA. I
Mhm.
agree.
Well, they've kind of fucked up some of those translations too. So
Yes,
They
they
have done it. They have, but I mean, you remember Legend of the Seeker, Bobby?
We do not speak of this. I couldn't
I
make it through a
mean-
single episode. I couldn't.
Dude, it's better than me. I sat there watching an episode trying to figure out why something seemed familiar in this series, and I couldn't figure it out until I saw the splash cards referencing what books it was based on.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Series was the worst. But I mean, hopefully we get good things out of it. I honestly don't know. It's like this is like the rights for the film and the TV adaptation have been owned and purchased and maintained for 20 years, and no one could ever figure out how to adapt it. So
Oh,
I,
Like I said, I have
honestly
faith in
don't-
Amazon, which is also why I'm not scared that Amazon now owns MGM or is
Well-
going to own MGM.
keep in mind this is not Amazon solo.
I understand,
It is also a Sony production.
but I'm sure that, with the funding of both companies behind it, it's not going to suck.
That's a
Well,
big assumption to make
yeah, it is.
because I've seen some pretty expensive projects turn terrible.
This is true. I'm
I mean,
trying to stay positive.
need we bring up the Shannara Chronicles?
Kind of looks like she wants to kill you right now.
The first season was okay. Let's be fair. The second season was like the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So
It was not the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That would be your face.
I don't know about
That's just
that.
rude.
Just kidding.
That's also like my
Pretty
face
bad, but
is-
the worst thing you've ever seen in your life?
If
Okay,
that was
am
the
I-
worst thing I'd ever seen in my life would not be where it is right now. But in any case, other things going on in film and TV. Disney has announced that they're rescheduling a couple of the Marvel films, which, who here is surprised they're going to reschedule Marvel films?
No wonder.
But I'm waiting for, hands to rise. Oh, I'm surprised. Absolutely no one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's not much info directly. Disney did kind of a overhaul in general. I think there was like 5 projects they moved.
This is accurate.
2 of them are Marvel. There is no official confirmation on which ones those are. The assumption is that one of them is Blade, just because of where it literally moved to exactly 1 year later, and it's in October, which I know sounds like a tropey thing, but it is a vampire movie in October. So
I honestly think Blade is properly positioned there. It's strange that they would push Blade because, like you said, there is a writer. We have our cast, our main protagonist.
yeah,
They have like a black superhero that features so predominantly on a pro African American culture would hit very strong right now. I think it is something that would be particularly viable and would be
That's
very.
where they're putting all of their focus onto Black Panther, to be completely honest.
yeah.
I mean that is a that's actually a really good point. When is Black Panther supposed to release? I know
2023 for the movie, I think.
yeah. And the series, the spinoff series that they were
No,
doing.
Black Panther is coming out next year.
Is it 2022? Is it the end of
Yep.
the year? Okay.
That means they're gonna hit
They
that
announced
year
this week.
really hard.
No, they announced last month
Yeah.
that it'll be released in 2022.
Oh, that's right. They did their little.
In July
trailer.
of 2022.
Oh, they did their little Marvel trailer thing.
Yeah.
They'll get back to the movies thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if there has to be a reason, and they have to have a reason to push Blade. We're assuming is Blade a year. There has to be some sort of storyline thing that they want to make sure gets put in place, I'm assuming, to bring in that type of because that is outside of what they've done so far.
Yeah.
A lot of what they've done is, sci-fi, superhero, stuff like that. Going into Blade is a very supernatural and horror driven.
Which
title.
after WandaVision is appropriate. It's just
Yeah.
I'm really curious how they're gonna place him, and if they're bumping all of these movies to the same like year period, I'm really curious to see how they're all gonna hit. If maybe we're gonna get like a really interesting crossover between perhaps WandaVision and Blade.
I don't know. We'll see.
If they're pushing it that far, it's hard to believe that they would have a huge connection that doesn't get explained somewhere in the middle, which makes you think, what thing are they moving then?
Yeah.
What is the in between? Because we know that there's probably gonna be some sort of Doctor Strange connection. But what else goes in between there?
Like, is Doctor Strange gonna connect with Blade?
It should.
I don't know if that's the right connection for Marvel though.
Well, I mean, they're kind of working the same things. Doctor Strange is with being true to the source materials. Doctor Strange is very, very inspired by horror and very inspired by the supernatural, magical stuff. I mean, he is the
So, according
Sorcerer
to
Supreme.
what we've been able to find out, it's not that Doctor Strange is going to be in Blade, but it's that Blade is going to be introduced in Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
that makes sense because they kind of work in the same realm.
Yeah. And
in
it's
a
like
lot
there's
of
enough
ways.
there's enough iconography associated with Blade that you can have a teaser of him in another Marvel movie and he will be recognizable.
Well, and see, that makes me think if there is going to be a Midnight Suns thing here, and if maybe that year push is maybe to introduce like Ghost Rider into the MCU.
I don't know, man.
Because they still don't have an MCU Ghost Rider. So if they're really going to push that part of it, that more horror aspect of their comics, maybe that'll be where it kind of it takes off in Doctor Strange, but then they kind of leave some gaps in between.
Do you think we'll see another Ghost Rider after those movies?
There'll be another Ghost Rider. We don't know when, but there is going to be another Ghost Rider.
We don't know when. We don't know how.
No, they have Ghost Rider is a huge part of the comic world, and that there's a lot of stories connected to Ghost Rider, especially when they start tapping into the supernatural stuff. So I assume that there's going to be a Ghost Rider at some point. I'm just confused by the idea of them pushing Blade back so far. That's the part that I don't quite understand.
That's a big push.
Yeah. And we have no idea what the other, and we don't even know if that's 100% certain. That seems to be.
It's just our best guess.
Yeah, based on the time frame and the layout of the movies to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Blade would theoretically fit in at that October 2023 timeline. So, and we don't know what the other one is. We have no idea. So,
well, it's interesting to think about. Hopefully, we get a few more details about what they're pushing back, and we can theorize a bit more. But it's like, I don't know if this break has been right for Marvel, because in many ways, like, I'm enjoying not seeing a Marvel movie every month. But at the same time, like, I feel like they've lost a decent amount of the momentum they had built up.
Yes and no.
That's why they have everything that they're doing on Disney Plus and all of the movies right now.
They've built up so much momentum from that stuff. What Loki starts next week, doesn't it?
I believe that's accurate.
Yeah. So they're not losing momentum. It's just not.
They're just changing it.
Yeah, they're changing how it's being.
They're changing the direction. Yeah.
Because we're still. I mean, as soon as Loki ends, that's when Black Widow comes out, and then not long after that we get Eternals, and so they're building to a pretty big push. So.
Yeah, Loki starts next week on the 9th. All right. Now, other things that are happening next week here in the Colorado area, for those of you who are local to the Colorado, Denver vicinity, where we are currently living in, there is going to be the Colorado Springs and Toy Con. So Comic and Toy Con happening at Chapel Hills Mall.
Yep.
On Saturday, June 12th, starting at 11 a.m. It is free to all who attend.
Yep.
And we will be there. Some of us in costuming, some of us not, but all of us, enjoying ourselves.
Mm-hmm. It's the first con we have had since COVID.
Exactly. And we're very excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's a little early, but we'll see how they go. I have confidence in them. And it's going to be so good to go down the aisles again and just peruse and spend the money I don't need to spend.
Exactly. Our youngest co-host, who does not join us on these weekly shows, will be with us. And we'll be doing some interviews as well as driving me absolutely crazy, because that's what she does best, and giving us a young teenage perspective on things. So if you see us at Colorado Springs Comic and Toy Con, please pop over and say hey. And as far as that goes, that is everything I have written down on the agenda for this eve. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to throw in? Fox, you look so snuggly with your squashmallow. It's not the one I got you, but I get it is the one that all of you from the Queer Circus have in common.
That's true, but this one has an armhole, so you can hug it.
Yes, but I got you a puppy that is wearing a bandana.
I do love him.
Oh shit.
Down she goes. But yeah, I have something that I'd like to say. Be nice to each other. That's all.
Okay.
Nothing nerd related.
You should
Just,
have gone with
be
the
nice.
excellent to one another.
Yeah. Be excellent.
I
There she
want to
goes
clarify
again.
real quick. I thought that there was I thought it was paid admission to the Colorado Springs.
According to their website,
I thought it was
It-
$5.
says price is free on their Facebook page.
Does it?
It
I
does.
thought it was a $5 entry for some reason.
It says price is free on their Facebook page.
Okay.
I have just shared this event onto our page. But we will confirm that and let everybody know if anything changes.
Okay.
So, also today is June 1st, while we are recording, and that means that it is officially Pride Month.
Happy
So,
Pride,
Pride
everyone.
Month, Pride Month. Gotta
Happy
get here for
Pride.
Pride Month.
I myself am a demisapio bisexual, and you will probably be hearing a lot more of that on my own personal channels, Duchess Bobby, Pet Play Palace, and Bobby Forrester. So come and check me out on all of those different things, because what's up? Pride is awesome. All
And
right.
check me out on Queer Circus if you want to see all the gay stuff I do.
Also follow Tank at Knox Nostalgic Collectibles.
Yep.
He is your hookup for comic books, collectible toys, video games, video console repairs,
Oh yeah.
and other such miscellany items. And, follow Stash if you feel like, poking fun at
Plucking
someone.
your
'Cause
eyes
that's
out.
fun for me.
I was gonna say throw rocks at me if you see me.
Why?
That seems appropriate.
Because
Why
he's
would you-
straight, and it's the gay month, and everyone who's not gay must be punished.
I'm
Oh.
sorry, I can't.
You know what?
I tried.
He
just
is
not
very
for me.
Metro, Fox.
That is true.
Stash is
And-
incredibly Metro, and we love him.
And Polly, I feel, puts me on the scale somewhere.
And kink is accepted as part of what we're celebrating this month.
That's
the
there
gulag.
we go.
To the gulag with you, straight boy. To the gay log.
All right, Tank, I don't know what that
Perfect.
means that Fox thinks about you, but
I guess I'm the worst one out on this one. So
yeah, to the monogamous straight man in the corner.
To the gulag.
I think I just go straight to the chair at that point.
And on
That's
that
true.
beautiful and lovely note,
We shall say good night. Everyone have a wonderful and pleasant Pride, and we love you all.
Good
we shall be
night.
back again next week, because there is no stopping us, even if you try.
Oh jeez.
And we're out.